Hey, welcome to Facts at Five, everyone. I'm Michael Clark. I'm here at the LTV Media Center in Wayne-Scott, New York, with my weekly guest, Town Supervisor Peter Van Scoyoc. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing very well today, and yourself?
I'm doing great, thanks.
So today is Friday, and we opened. I know they, not we, but they're opening the new state site on the old campus of LIU. Let's call it the Southampton Hospital site in Southampton, and that's going to be open to the public starting today. And you have any information about that, Peter?
Well, yes, I do. This is going to be a 7-day-a-week mass vaccination site sponsored by the state. We're very happy now to have this kind of attention on the East End, particularly the availability of vaccine in such quantities on South Fork. As you know, the town took on the role of being the vaccinator here in East Hampton and on the South Fork ahead of other resources coming in. We've bridged that gap. We're going to try and continue to offer vaccine to local residents as vaccine is available. We're also encouraging anyone who's not yet received the vaccination to go to the Am I Eligible site. Just Google Am I Eligible. That will bring up the state site. There are vaccination appointments available at Southampton as we speak. And I think that there's going to be, the ability of them doing maybe as many as 1,000 vaccinations in a day once they get ramped up full speed. And again, we intend to try to continue doing some pods here locally, but we did successfully bridge that gap in time between no vaccines here on the South Fork and the state resources being brought to bear. So we're happy about that.
That's great. And just so we're clear to everybody, so if you're signed up on the town site, that doesn't have anything to do with this new site opening up. You would still need to go, as you said, to the Am I Eligible site and sign up there because that's a state site, right?
That's correct. And again, we're encouraging anyone who has registered with the town to go ahead and also try and get vaccine at Southampton, or anywhere else for that matter. We're encouraging people to try to get vaccine as soon as they can from any source. Certainly, this is going to be a lot more convenient Southampton versus, the Javits Center, Jones Beach, or Stony Brook, Long Island. So,
and none of those sites, your site, when I say your site, the town of East Hampton site, or the one in Southampton, those are also completely separate from the CBS site, for example. So you would still need to go onto that.
Yes.
So essentially, you have a lot of choices.
There are a lot of choices, and we list those choices on the town's web portal, ehtownvaccine.org. There is a drop-down menu. You can find all the sites on Long Island, Eastern Long Island, listed where you can sign up to get vaccine.
That's great information, Peter. I appreciate that. So what else is happening in the town? I know there's plenty going on, regular business. What's hot for you? What's on your desk?
The police reform reinvention resolution. We need to present a plan to New York State by April 1st. We first had a listening session from the community as to police reform and reinvention, which is a governor's mandated program. And back in October, we formed the committee early in November, which is met regularly. We did a town-wide survey of the community, getting their input on areas, any areas of concern, what they felt the police were doing well, etc. And we also did a youth survey. Those comments and surveys helped form the plan, which we did at least 2 work sessions on the preliminary plan. We had an additional listening session on the 11th, and culminating in the board's acceptance of the plan, and that will be submitted to the state along with appendices that include all comments and survey results that we gathered during this time. It was a very broad and diverse group of individuals in the committee. We're very thankful for all of their input.
That's great. And are you able to share any of those results, Peter, before it goes to the state?
Sure. I think just a really brief summary. I think there was a broad acknowledgement that we still need to have better communication between police and community members, just so there's an understanding as to what the rules, what the laws are, what to do in the case of a traffic stop, that we need to do a better job. And this is not just with the police, but across all levels of government and just as a community at large. We need to have, I think, better outreach and connections with all members of our community. And I think particularly with the Latinx community members, so that we just have a better exchange of ideas and information. That's one of the results. I think there was broad acceptance of the importance of body cameras that both protects the police as well as individuals.
Yep.
We know from dash cam footage that some complaints against the police, for instance, when reviewed with dash cam, some of the claims are, for the most part, unsubstantiated. I think it protects all parties involved. The issue there is resources. We'd like to see the state and federal government commit more resources. There have been a number of mandates that come down from the state and federal government that we need to comply with, but there's rarely, if ever, any funding attached to that. So,
no check.
Funding's important. We support these moves, but we need assistance. It's becomes burdensome for local taxpayers to pick up the full bill. So that was another aspect of it. There are a number of aspirational goals. There's some obstacles in terms of recruiting officers, minority officers or Spanish-speaking officers. The lists that we get from civil service are very constrained. They don't have a lot of ability to hire, people in these categories. So it's a limited pool that we have to work from. I think our local police department's been very good about managing that, but there's always room for improvement, and communication, again, so important.
Sure. Always, right? And you spoke a little bit before of funding. How do you see the stimulus plan that was passed federally? How do you see that impacting the town of East Hampton? I don't know if it's driven to that level yet in terms of numbers, but what do we know about that?
Yeah, some of the initial numbers look like the town might receive a little over $2.4 million. But there's also other monies that could be brought in. I know that frees up money with the county. They had cut $500,000 worth of mutual aid that we would be getting every year for this past year, 2020. So that impacted us. That funding is going to be restored. For instance, the police academy, which was not held this past year, there'll be funds to reinstitute that so that we can actually backfill some of these open spots when we get retirements and whatnot. I think that helps. It just helps across the board. It makes all the levels of government whole again budgetarily. Then that means that we can count on the state AIM funding that we would normally get as well. And perhaps there'll be a greater push for infrastructure. I know with the stimulus package, infrastructure is something that's important. And, we've been working on downtown wastewater for Montauk. That's something that needs to be implemented. It looks like with this infrastructure bill that there will be more funding available, which means higher subsidies and lower costs to implementing that plan for Montauk, which is important.
Yeah, sure. And it's funny because I think a lot of people feel like $2.4 million, this is kind of found money, but it's really lost money that was found, right? It's money that
restoring money that we had. I think we had nearly, I think it was $2.3 million in additional costs and revenue loss in 2020 due to the pandemic. So, it hopefully will make us whole for 2020. But, we have ongoing costs moving forward, just the cost of heightened cleaning protocols,
Sure.
The costs of putting together and creating a mass vaccination center here in town. We did have a lot of wonderful volunteers, but there are, costs associated with bringing that building up to spec and providing the equipment that was necessary in order to facilitate vaccines here in East Hampton.
And don't forget the Girl Scout cookies. I know there's no cost for those. Those were donated.
I have to
They were
say,
great.
nothing can lift spirits better than Girl Scout cookies and the food provided to the volunteers at those pods. As you well know, Michael, I know you volunteered there.
Yeah.
And we're grateful for you and everyone else who's helped out.
Thanks.
And, we probably will need to request more volunteers to sign up as we move forward, and we'll put that information out. So that's the really bright and uplifting part of where we are in the pandemic, that now the vaccine's here, it's available. It's so gratifying to see, especially seniors who've been shut in for a year, being able to get vaccinated, liberated, being able to go and hug their grandchildren, in another week or two.
I'll tell you, all we need is live music there, Peter. We had an event, I'll tell you.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. I talked to a couple of musicians who walked through and said, "Hey, what do you think about playing here?" And they were totally down with it. I'd love to have it happen. We would just have to figure out how to get it worked into the space. It's too cold to set them up outdoors, and
yep.
Trying to be able to do that safely. I think we haven't quite figured out where we would put them.
That's the beauty of our local musicians. They will play anywhere, or anything. I mean, they're always the first ones to step forward when you're talking about volunteerism, right? They're always the first in line.
Absolutely. They're out there helping to raise funds for a number of charities. So we do have an intercom system in that building, which is not currently hooked up. So it may be possible to put them in a isolated location on site, playing live, and then pipe it in through the whole building. I'd love to be able to do that.
That would be great.
I took out my Wonder Boom box, Bluetooth speaker, and had somebody work a playlist so that folks walking down the hall,
it was great,
standing in queue, could hear some music.
Yeah, the volunteers were dancing in the hallway. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was a good vibe there for sure.
Yeah. Well, Peter, we're just about out of time here, and once again, thank you for all your hard work and the town board. And any final thoughts before we close off for this week?
I'll just say that we see that things are progressing well and the vaccine's here, but this disease is still here in our neighborhoods, in our town, and you just have to be careful a bit longer.
That's right.
Till everybody gets vaccinated. We've had some recent outbreaks of COVID among people here in town, and it's really quite prevalent. So continue to be careful.
Yep, it's not gone yet, but we're on
Get
our way.
Vaccinated.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity, please take advantage of it. No matter where, the sooner the better.
Sign up on all the lists for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Peter. We'll see you next week, and have a good day.
My pleasure. Thank you, Michael, and thanks to LTV for all the great work that you do in the community.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter.